All right, we've got a fairly decent group going. So let's go ahead and jump in at least to the October 7th. Yeah. Okay. Today's community call, we're covering quite a bit actually. So some governance updates. Open crediting proposal is going to be talked about. We're going to follow up on the COSM WASM region ledger upgrade, and then a reminder of other major discussions going on. We're going to have Max on today to talk about the Regen Tokenomics working group and the progress they've been making this year. And then new topic validator analysis, proof of regeneration. I think that's going to be Bax talking about some new validator stuff if they're coming want to do. And then at the end, we're going to do some featured eco credits. And I think that's going to be Dave talking. So a pretty good one today. Upcoming community events. So yeah, the most forthcoming one is the community governance call. That's going to be on Discord on November 15th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And then after that, we've got just our normal community call schedule. So alternating Regenerati News Hour and community calls for the rest of November. And then December, we're doing one final Regenerati News Hour and one final combined community call with Registry Science Foundation product and protocol. And the last 2 weeks. Okay. And then that'll be the final event of December for community calls. And then the rest of the year we'll have off, and we'll see you next year for those updates. Okay. Region Ledger Governance update. Is this Corey? No.
Maybe I take it. I'm not sure if Corey's there or not. The open crediting proposal has not, to my knowledge, unless Corey says otherwise right now, gone on chain yet. But the goal is for it to go on chain this week. So this is sort of a pre-announcement to let folks know that we are at the voting starting point soon, and that we would encourage you to vote. There's been a ton of comments, over 50 in this discussion to date. So if you're unfamiliar with the discussion, I recommend checking out Commonwealth, reviewing the comments, and deciding how you want to vote. And there'll be an announcement soon about the vote when it becomes available to folks. But stay tuned. Voting should start this week.
Awesome. Cool. COSM WASM. Is this also you, Bex?
Yeah, I'm going to be taking a bunch of stuff because I'm involved with a bunch of proposals and discussions at one time right now. So I wanted to just give folks a verbal update. The updates are also in this discussion on Commonwealth, which is linked here. So we have gone through and determined what the technical implementation for adopting COSM will be, which requires us to upgrade to Cosmos SDK version 050 in order to add COSM WASM. We have begun a process in the Builder DAO to draft an RFP to collect solicitations for the engineering implementation from validators in the community who may want to participate in that implementation. And we expect that the implementation will take 2 to 3 months. And funding has been secured from a couple of different places to support the implementation. So we've put an update about these details in the signaling proposal discussion. We want to invite folks to add any final comments this week. Our goal is to put the vote for COSM WASM on the blockchain next week after open crediting. So open crediting should be this week. COSM WASM vote should be next week. So this is the last week to express your opinions in Commonwealth or check out the resources. Once the vote has passed, assuming it does pass for COSM WASM, we will launch the request for proposal for engineering work and start to solicit over a quick 2-week turnaround time period for that work and choose an appropriate contractor with the right technical skills and begin implementation. So get in there, have opinions, and now or never on whether you want COSM-WASM or not.
Awesome. Thank you. Other Regen governance updates. I'd be happy to take this one. Okay, so we've got the signaling proposal, COSM-WASM. That's what Max was just talking about, if you want to comment last week. We've got the Regen Tokenomics Working Group, which was submitted by Max, and he's going to be on in the next slide, I think, talking about updates from that. We've got token burning upgrades. Actually, Ryan, do you want to talk about that at all since you're on here, or?
I don't have much to say around it. It's actually more or less submitted by the Tokenomics Working Group, and Aaron drafted a proposal that he's proposed within the context of that group, and I just kind of wrote up a summary of it. So yeah, we're looking for feedback or comments. I haven't actually followed up to the latest questions. I guess I can maybe address those, but yeah, some changes to Regen Ledger that would basically burn tokens as part of fees for economic activity, and looking for input, and this would help counterbalance the minting of tokens that happens in proof of stake networks. So reduce the supply, increase the demand. So that's about it.
Yeah, thank you for that little description. So you can check that one out on our Commonwealth as well. And then, oh, we've still got the governance process and community, sorry, my screen's a little off, spend proposals. That's Dave, and the community governance call next week. I assume we'll be talking about that as they do. And our final one, updating parameters, lowering inflation related issues. This is new. Will Cizal. I actually don't know very much about this one. Is Will on the call? No, it doesn't look like it.
I don't see Will on the call, but he launched this like 30 minutes ago or something. So I added it here right before the call. We're going to talk about a validator analysis in a later slide, but this is another idea. So that, Max will kind of take us through some of the tokenomics working group, but there's been some threads that have shot out of the tokenomics working group. One is about validators, which we'll talk about. One is this token burning upgrade that Ryan just mentioned. And the third that has emerged as unique threads that are all related to the same theme is a discussion around lowering inflation. So this one's brand new, only has Will and I commenting so far. So I highly recommend folks go in and start to join that discussion. But this is sort of layers of thinking about how to improve tokenomics and network health. But there's sort of three different ways of thinking about what are the levers that can be pulled in that context. So this is an alert. Go to Commonwealth. Lots of good discussions happening in Commonwealth.
Perfect. Cool. So with that little roundup of just our governance discussions ongoing, let's deep dive into tokenomics. Max, is this you?
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'll give an update for the October. This is the months where we fully launched our tokenomics working group. So to date we had like 5 meetings. You could see the schedule. Maybe it's worth updating because there was a change of time. It's now like 7 a.m. PT and 10 a.m. ET time. We have around 30 participants, widely representing the foundation R&D, but also validators and community members and experts. So if you would like to jump in there, please sign up. We have a small form. And through this month and continuing to the end of the year, I'm both studying the group and conducting research about the state of Regen tokenomics overall, analyzing the trends and the economical rationale behind different discussed proposals. So far, I identified 2 already active topics, and I would connect them to, first of all, they were discussed a bit before, but just to reiterate, it's decreasing the validators' sales pressure. So there's around like $60,000 equivalent of monthly sales of token, which we connect with the inflation given to like validators being sold. So this pressure can be decreased in various ways. If you want to look more into like this link, you'll see that it may be regarding the set of validators. It might be like decreasing the parameters of the inflation as well. And the other option potentially, like we say, maybe that we should cut it like around like 2 times, but this is very important to be discussed and agreed with validators. Just so to say, we won't do anything like super unexpected. And the other is in connection to increasing the demand for the token by burning some of the fees, like creating the fees overall, and then taking part of this fees as a kind of burn as a commission. There's already like also like few mechanism to do this, really interesting. And then also like top right corner, you could see a picture from our recent workshop where we tried to analyze also the macro situation around the token. So we discussed the influence of the policy, like crypto policy and ecological policies, and also like the state of the macroeconomics of the world and the countries, and what other different situations where we can find. So this is maybe like the third, like more macro level kind of discussion going on. For finding more information on all of those, you could go to this link of Regen Tokenomics Hub. This is like a structured Notion which contains recordings and notes from every call, all the links. You can find all the extra information, reports on the work done so far. I guess that's our progress for October, and looking forward to do more. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that update. Does anybody have any questions for Maxwell? We've got him on the call. Okay. If not, all good. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that's Tuesday mornings if you want to join in. Yeah. Cool. New topic, validator analysis.
Yeah, I can take this one. So there's a new discussion on Commonwealth that Paul just shared about this. Paul and Seb and I and 3 or 4 other people like Will and Ryan and Dan have sort of contributed to an analysis where we're looking at, like what is the health of the validator network. So Paul just started a discussion that's basically asking at a really pattern level, like, what's the state of validators? What are the activities that we want validators to participate in? What's our opinion of how we should look at validators and how we should consider delegation? Related to that is sort of the question that's sort of intrinsically linked of, based on validator economics right now, and the fact that we have only 73 active validators in the set of 75, should we consider shifting the validator set to a smaller size? So there's a report and an accompanying Notion evaluation of all the validators that is now linked in the governance discussion. That report looks at, what's a criteria by which we could evaluate validator participation, validator performance, values that we want validators to have, whether it's looking at, are they participants in the network beyond being a validator, or did they participate in Cosmos Zero, or have they carbon offset? There's a lot of different pieces to what that analysis is looking at. It's also taking into account, what validators are selling off rewards versus keeping rewards at the end of the month. So there's a report with an awful lot of data in it. And then there's a proposed rubric for evaluating validators and a table that has all the data for each validator all lined up and graded. So we're inviting folks into the discussion around what are the values we want the validator set to have? How do we want to evaluate validators? And do we want to consider the pros and cons of a smaller validator set given economic conditions? So brand new discussion as of this morning, lots of data. The report is set to comment, so anyone can go into the report and comment on it. Same with the accompanying Notion table. And obviously you can comment directly into the discussion in Commonwealth. So the group of us that are taking on this side inquiry under the Tokenomics Working Group are welcoming ideas and feedback. The rubric of evaluation that we've created is a template. It may or may not be one that the whole community wants to adopt. We may come up with a slightly different criteria, but it's a good starting point for looking at the health of the network and the different qualities and participation types of validators in our network, and starting to ask ourselves core value proposition questions around the kinds of validators we want to have and what relationship we want to have to the validator set. So you're all welcome to come to Commonwealth and check this out and comment in the report. Does anyone have any questions about this? It's sort of a big analysis that folks need to go look at, but I'm happy to talk about it here if folks have opinions that they want to share or questions about how they can engage with the information.
I really appreciate this analysis. Thank you. It's really helpful. It certainly guided some redelegation for me personally, and R&D as well. Sort of took the advice and sort of redelegated. And it would be lovely if the foundation, I think, responded similarly to, and I think I'm encouraging the foundation to kind of post a response and maybe do they're a little bit more process oriented around how they do their delegations, but hopefully this spurs them to do an upgrade of how they're thinking about delegations. So, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting mathematical analysis to go through, because I think we've talked about should the validator set be smaller before, just like socially, but actually looking at the data and like the types of participation and then the ancillary services that different validators are offering, like relayers and RPC nodes. I mean, you start to see a tapestry of needing to strike a balance between the set size and the sort of like social participation we want from validators, and then the technical participation that we need from validators. So I'm hoping this gives us a little bit more information to be proactive as a community when thinking about that. And it's hopefully going to drive us asking really the core value questions was my goal with this. But I love data. So rather than feeling this is a giant pile of data. And David, would be great, yeah, to have us on the governance call. Maybe you can remind us where and when said governance call will be. And if you know, like loosely what agenda you think you're going to be hosting there. Would you mind telling us now, since it came up in the chat?
Yeah, it's the 15th, 9:30 a.m. Pacific is when it works for me next week. Usually goes about an hour. My expectation is I'm hoping we'll be in the midst of a couple of proposals up on chain. I want to unpack the Archway learnings around the community spend proposal stuff, where we actually did move that through, so we can get that up on chain. And then I think this will be, in a way, some good bait for the validator community to drop in to just frankly do their own evaluation of this analysis and kind of weigh in on, just kind of what they like about it, what they don't, and an invitation to upgrade the analysis or their own way of engaging the network in this kind of new chapter of Regen. So that's. Those four-ish topics will be the focus of the agenda.
Sorry, I was muted. What's the date of this call? Is this week or?
I'm sorry, it's a week from tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning.
The 15th. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll mark our calendars then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, are there any other questions about this analysis? I recommend people look at it because it's a whole lot of information. and everyone should form their own personal and professional opinions on it. Cool. Well, if that's all we are chiming in about this validator assessment, maybe we can move on to the next item. We're making quick speed of this call, y'all. So Dave, it's you and credit.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Dave Fortson. I'm supporting the sales of Regen credits up on the registry. Really excited to just drop in today and talk about sheep grazing. We've got Ned here, who is the sheep grazing guru. So if you have details about the actual methodology itself, Ned's here to answer any questions. But we have credits for sale. I was actually just trying to get an updated number. I believe we started with approximately 1,800, of which a portion of those are on the Regen marketplace. So you can on-chain purchase these credits and retire them if you wish. Super exciting. This is our first environmental stewardship credit, which aims to incentivize ecological behaviors that parties find beneficial, and reward those the folks who are executing that behavior. In this case, sheep grazers and the vintners who are hosting these sheep grazers. Obviously, there's some critical core benefits or co-benefits, depending on your position, around nutrient cycling and retention, reduction of external inputs, less machines. So this was a project of Fibershed, the Chaos Grazers, and Gurgitch Vineyard up in the Napa Valley. So I've started to move these credits out into the community and into potential buyers like Patagonia and Toad & Co., as well as folks who are starting to talk about the biodiversity space more broadly. Just these non-carbon-based credits where carbon may be a benefit of this work, but the actual core benefit or the core reason for this credit existing is to reward positive ecological behaviors, to be able to quantify and measure that and provide direct funding to all parties involved with that. So this is a pretty innovative, groundbreaking credit in many ways. And whether you, if you're interested in purchasing one or many, they're about $23.50 each, and they break down approximately 65% of that revenue goes toward the sheep grazers, 35 to the wineries who are hosting them. So if you have questions, please do let me know. We are looking for buyers. So if you and your network have anyone in the textile business, the fashion industry, the vineyard industry, or any folks who you think want to match up their climate goals and objectives with verified ecological behaviors and impacts, please do forward them to me. I'd be happy to sit down and chat with them and set up appropriate meetings with our team to help land the value of this really cool new credit here at Regen Network. And then I want to just tease, I'm hoping sometime in the next 30 days or so, or at least by the end of the year, we're going to be bringing Terrazos biodiversity credits on chain and here into the Regen Network ecosystem. We're in discussions with them and have been for a bit. But I just got back from the Bloom conference up in San Jose. That was the Green Biz's conference focused on biodiversity, and was able to pitch this to a number of folks. Have already had calls with a number of large Web2 companies like Salesforce and Amazon and others to bring this first, raise awareness that these credits are actually landing into the marketplace and start to discuss kind of the value proposition of these credits and where they sit on the balance sheet and where they sit in the larger climate goals and objectives of these institutions. But again, all of you will have access and availability to purchase these directly and to support protection of ecologically sensitive forests in the Colombian jungles, and support the land stewards who are allowing that to be possible. So stay tuned for more details. We're going to kind of withhold selling these too much until we just finalize some details with that Asos, but look forward to these coming to market here shortly. Any questions? All right, thank you, everybody.
Awesome, thank you for that. And if you want to learn more about these credits, the Registry Science and Foundation community call has gone into depth with these a little bit more, and you can find those on our YouTube. Well, folks, that's it. It was a short one this week. Is there anything else anybody wants to discuss since we've got the time and a great community of people present?
I'm sure there's a lot of conversations that are possible. I mean, just to respond to Dave really quick, very excited, and also just excited to see kind of what's like an increase of velocity of shipping new eco credits to the market. So that's just really exciting. Terrazos, I think there's a significant amount of work, and we haven't maybe done as good a job. I mean, I think Pear maybe came and presented. Did we have a presentation about the Jaguar eco credits in one of the community calls? Yeah, so that's continuing to move and is really exciting. And in fact, there's a pre-purchaser, fingers crossed, and it's not all totally done, but you know, like verbal commitment and final process is underway. So that's very exciting. So there's just a lot of movement on these sort of next generation novel eco credits that I think are so much more exciting than some of the existing credits that were like our bridge crediting process that I think are cool. It's good to have that interoperability, but I'm just really excited. So I appreciate the update from Dave there, and I'm just pretty excited about it. Giselle, you hopped off video. Do you have something you wanted to add or discuss?
I might share with the community today is the last day for commenting on the Carbon Plus methodology. So if anyone wants to hop on, and even informally through Hilo or through the more formal process, today is the last day. So this would be the last step. After this, we will be approving the methodology in its new version. And yeah, we have a lot of conversations with people from Uruguay, Argentina, United States, Australia, with new projects coming through that lane. So it's really exciting. Yeah, and I welcome any comments around the credit class as well. And we can follow up with discussions even if the public comment finishes today. So yeah, just an invitation.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Anything anybody else wants to add or share? Celebrate?
Discuss, I saw Ed hop on video for a second. Ed, did you have anything you wanted to discuss or share?
Not anything in particular. I just put my video on, but I have been starting a little discussion with Giselle about a new MRV that's being worked on in Regen Ag area. That's pretty exciting. Really simplifies the process, yet really shows soil functioning and its advancement. So kind of exciting new thing that's been happening.
Hey, I have a question. Giselle, with the Carbon Plus grasslands, could you just, I assume other people who are not in the weeds may have a similar question. Obviously, this was the anchor for bringing a number of credits to Microsoft a couple of years back. What does this new upgrade enable? Do you see it as like it's not necessarily driven by Microsoft in this case, but more of just an upgrade of the methodology, which could allow for just more accurate, I don't know if that's the right word. Is it accurate issuance of credits, and their impact, and then, being able to open up a new vintage of credits that will be created based on this new methodology? Like, could you just maybe outline that briefly and make sure I understand?
Yeah, I'll try to be brief, but essentially what we are trying to do right now is to accommodate a little bit with the standards in terms of soil, organic carbon accounting. So we are mandating now, it's a requisite to at least sample 30 centimeters in depth, or could be deeper carbon. So there's, for instance, one project that was one of the projects that we sold that they are interested in upgrading to this version of the methodology and starting to quantify the soil organic carbon for 10 more years, renewing the project, 10 more years accounting for the first meter. So this new version of the methodology allows for deeper carbon and has very precise guidelines to do that assessment in a rigorous way. We are incrementing a little bit the number of samples that we require, but at the same time, we reduced the costs by requiring that only a proportion of that is analyzed for nutrients, which was one of the biggest costs in terms of laboratory analysis. And we also reviewed all the credit class and the program guide to make sure that we kind of generate the space for methodologies to be upgraded and the projects to follow those upgrades. So we are making it easier in the program, in the registry program, for projects to upgrade to new versions of the methodologies, so that, for instance, a project that starts five years before an upgrade, they don't keep doing the same thing without being compliant with the markets, which is something that maybe if you don't allow for that type of frequent upgrade, it becomes cumbersome. It becomes a problem for them to continue issuing, right? Because projects last for at least 10 years. So that's a problem. So we are trying to make that, innovate in that space too, and make it really easy for people to upgrade, as long as that implies, you know, more rigor, better science, and more compliance with the market demand. And there are plenty of minor tweaks in the methodology that we summarized in a document that I can share in the chat for anyone interested. But those are the most relevant, I believe.
Thanks, Giselle. That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you, Giselle, for
Awesome.
all of that info. All right, well,
We all get a few extra minutes today. Great.
sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Have
Harry.
a good Tuesday.
Ciao.
Thank you.